Yeah, tonight at the freeholder meeting, June 28th, there was an ordinance for the first reading. It was, just to shorten it up, what it was they're putting in the New Jersey Meadowlands commissioned landfill and disposal facilities. So they're taking construction debris and bulk material up there. So they had to pass. They're planning to pass an ordinance, because this was the first reading, adding the landfill at the Meadowlands into the waste management plan. So we couldn't talk on it at that moment, but we actually did have the possibility to comment in the public speaking portion at the end of the meeting. And so, leading up to that, yeah, Sullivan actually had something to say, because he's the director of the UCUA, which is Union County Utilities Authority.
Last Friday in May of this year, the Union County Utilities Authority was notified by a company known as Transload, which was the UCUA and the county's vendor to receive the type of waste that are described here, type 13, which is basically your bulky waste, your construction waste, any waste that is not taken to the resource recovery facility in Broadway. And basically that company closed its doors and declared bankruptcy. So the county did not have a place for final disposal of these types of waste. So between that Friday and the meeting of the Utilities Authority a couple weeks ago, the authority reached an agreement with the New Jersey Meadowlands Commission to be the final place where these types of waste will be taken. It was thought that this action could be done by and be approved by the DEP administratively. The DEP reached the conclusion that the county needed to complete the plan amendment and the resolutions and the ordinances that you would need to vote on 2 consecutive occasions in order to include the Jersey Meadowlands Commission in the solid waste plan. The good thing about this, though, is that the cost to the haulers will decrease by $14 a ton. The price at Transload was about $95. It'll drop to $81. So that's certainly a cost savings for the haulers and for the taxpayers in Union County. This is on a temporary basis. It'll be done for a year, which was the balance of the contract with Transload. And then somewhere between now and next June 30th, the Utilities Authority will reacquire and go out to bid for this type of service. And that'll be back again before this board, probably some this time next. So, if anybody has any questions about it? I know I've talked to several people about it. It really, I have to say, the professionals and everyone else at the UCUA really did a remarkable turnaround. To get a notice, basically, and tell you, say, none of your haulers can take this, and this includes the towns and what have you that take waste there. We got a notice out to over 500 haulers, as well as municipalities, that they couldn't go there. Here's where you needed to go. And by the way, the price dropped at $14 a ton. So again, the professionals who we all work with did an extraordinary job. I want to thank the DEP for certainly their cooperation, and they promised us that they will move quickly, assuming the board approves it, between now and the next reading on July 9th. So happy to answer any of the questions.
Great. Do you have any questions for Freeholder Sullivan right now? No? Freeholder, thanks for that.
And he actually, because of he called it the Transload company that was actually taking the debris, went bankrupt. That this unfortunate happenstance fell into the lap of the UCUA in late May, and by middle of June, they were able to have a
miraculously,
a plan in place to take the debris up to the Meadowlands. So he had nothing but great things to say about the UCUA, saying, "Oh, it was a remarkable action, extraordinary plan of attack."
Was just
how great it was. And he says, and on top of that, the Transload company that went bankrupt, they were charging $91 a ton, and the Meadowlands was actually charging $84 a ton. So on top of, oh yeah, $95 a ton to $81. So it was a $14 a ton savings. So he said, so they not only acted swiftly in an extraordinary manner, but they saved the taxpayers $14 a ton through this unfortunate happenstance. And he spoke highly, so that was it. Then they went into the regular meeting, and the public couldn't comment on this until the end. So at that point, who spoke first? You or I?
I think you did.
Oh, okay. So then came the public comment portion at the end, and I did thank him, and I said, we do appreciate it because the taxpayers are saving money, $95 to $81 a ton. I said, but the real question is, why weren't we going with the Meadowlands all these years and saving that money? I mean, why were you going with the higher rate all these years and giving it to Transload? And they ended up bankrupt anyway.
Going bankrupt.
Yeah, with all this extra money that they were funneling to them, they still went bankrupt. So the reference to this ordinance that was back at the beginning of the meeting about Transload going bankrupt. I guess that was that train out of Newark. Freeholder Sullivan, who's also director of UCUA, didn't really clarify exactly what this is, but I believe, and maybe you can verify it, but that's the train going out of New York. I mean, out of Newark, right? Is that correct?
Well, the waste was taken away by rail.
By rail, yeah, from Newark. Okay, but I mean, what really gets me, I mean, Freeholder Sullivan said, oh yeah, the UCUA did a great job, extraordinary, remarkable, and then it's mentioned that we were paying $95 a ton and it's going down to $81 a ton. I agree, it's a saving. But then the question arises, why the hell are we paying $95 a ton when we could have gotten $81 a ton all these years? So, why are we dealing with Transload? I'd really like to know that answer. I was here, I don't know what year, 2005 maybe, when you added them to your waste stream master plan. You voted them in, that's why I remember it was a train. But, to be paying more, don't you even think about the taxpayers and the residents paying? Thank you very much for the savings, but what the heck happened all these other years? And what's amazing is you're paying all this extra money, and they still went bankrupt. So who the heck knows what went on there? I don't think it was such a remarkable job. I think the UCUA should be embarrassed that they weren't even saving money for the taxpayers. So that's my comment on that one. Asked that question, not expecting a comment, because these things they tend to just pass over. But they actually did comment. But I'll let Jim talk a little bit.
Yeah, I picked up on that, and I asked them to maybe assign a dollar amount as to what the savings would be. Now, we normally don't get actual dollar amounts in a reply. And actually tonight, Sullivan had the number, which was quite interesting. $850,000 is what we're going to be saving. So go back to this ordinance 737, 2012. It's interesting how the economy works and turns, and actually Hayden County taxpayers benefited by actually doing nothing. A company went out of business, and we have savings. It's terrific. It does, the spin that the Director of Finance puts on it, that the UCUA has saved us money, just seems it was like a fortuitous thing that dropped in his lap. And that maybe we should have been looking at this earlier in order to be able to save that money that we're now going to anticipate. Actually, I was hoping that by the next meeting, when this ordinance will be moved for a reading as a resolution, that we can put a monetary number to what the savings would be, what that actually adds up to on a yearly basis. All right?
Made comments about the Utilities Authority and the agreement with Transload. That company was given the contract based on public bid that was done in 2006, and I believe awarded in 2007. It was a 5-year agreement. 2007 and 2008. It would have expired, in June of 2013. So the question as to why it wasn't less or more, whatever, the New Jersey Meadowlands Commission, as well as a number of other companies, bid on that contract, and TLA was awarded that contract based on the lowest bid, lowest responsible bid, which was the price that I quoted earlier, and that would have been in effect again through June of 2013. So the idea that the utility authority would go out and get another price, whatever while it was under contract, and that contract was performing, is just not possible. And was not possible until this operation declared bankruptcy, which afforded the utility authority to go out and get other pricing in a very short time. It should also be noted that we were quoted prices as high as $120 a ton. So the obvious responsible thing to do was get the lowest price possible, which was with the New Jersey Meadowlands Commission. And again, this would be for a year's time, which what the DEP will allow us, and then UCUA will have to go out and do another procurement process by the time next year. And all these other companies, again, that have bidded, as well as Commission, New Jersey Meadowlands Commission, will be allowed to bid on that. But the idea that there was some lower price 5 years ago is just not true. It was done, as I said, in a public process, in a public bid process that is overseen and approved by the DEP. So at the time when that contract was awarded, TLA was the lowest responsible bidder and was awarded that contract. Simple as that. As far as savings as it relates to what is happening now, the average type 13 waste stream is about 60,000 tons a year. So that works out to be about $840,000 that will be provided savings based on this temporary contract with the New Jersey Meadowlands Commission. So I hope I've cleared up any questions about that. There will be a public hearing, as was said, on July 19th. And other questions, and we can have certainly other professionals there who can answer any of the public's questions. But I hope that answers some of the questions about why it happened, how it happened, and what has happened since then.
So this is $850,000 that fell into our lap because a company went bankrupt. They didn't go out and solicit cheaper bids, alternative bids. It was just happenstance.
Yeah, Sullivan's comments, just saying a little further, he actually decided to rebut what Jim and I were talking about on this transload. And by the way, that transload is actually the train out of Newark. About 2006, it came out, they amended their waste management waste stream, and they added this train, trash train if you want to call it, leaving Newark and going out to the landfills in Pennsylvania or maybe Ohio. I don't recall, but it was back in 2006, and I did mention that. I remember them doing that. So anyway, but he said back then, in 2006, they went out to bid. They awarded it in 2007, but however, he said they did have a couple of bids, and that the Meadowlands actually did bid at the same time, and that they were higher. That's why they actually went with transload. And then the savings. Oh, and he said one person who bid had $120 a ton, and it was a 5-year, 6-year. Let's see, what?
5-year.
Five-year contract, and it was like the last. This was the last year, and they went bankrupt anyway. So they were lucky at that point to end up with the Meadowlands at a cheaper rate. But as my paranoia usually works, back then in 2006, 2007, these New Jersey Democrats, and I don't even know if they're real Democrats or not, but anyway, they controlled everything. And that's why we ended up with so much corruption in the state. But anyway, they controlled the New Jersey Meadowlands. So probably transload was their buddy. They wanted to put him in the waste stream and funnel money to however it's connected. And so they probably through, and I'm only guessing, Lesniak, since he's the boss, the capo di capo of northern New Jersey, he probably told the Meadowlands, come up with a higher number so you don't end up with the contract, and then it'll end up with transload. But this is only conjecture. But to tell you the truth, knowing how these guys work, it's probably more accurate than we even know.
Well, bottom line is UCUA did not have to do anything to save us $850,000. It fell in their lap.
Yeah, and they should have been saving it all along.